Well, hello everyone. We are now live. We're just moments away from starting Inspired to Speak one-on-one Succeed. And I'll give you a little backdrop of this course and let you know what to really expect here. I want to give it a few moments as I know people are still accessing the training. However, everything will be available for you for your review. I would ask that you do not share this with anyone when you have an event where people have invested their money and their time, this you want to cherish this information and keep it for yourself. Learn the things that we're going to share with you over these next few weeks. And as you learn these things, I want you to embody them and then you can share them from your lips, from your understanding. But please do not share this particular training with anyone else, but yourself. I would like to say that this is also being recorded. It will be edited for a later time to be offered into the general public. But if anyone is sharing the lessons out on social media, then they'll automatically be asked to leave the this program and will not be allowed to come back. I want you to understand that when you're getting information, it's just like when you're going to college or when you're going to school. You know, everyone has to go for themselves. They just really do. They have to be able to participate with themselves because that's really part of your learning, part of your understanding is the price that you pay, the sacrifice that you make as an individual to show up each and every week. And if you miss a week, you know, life does happen. But again, it will be recorded inside of the group. Everyone will get those recordings into the last weeks. Now, for many of you, as we move forward, there's going to be some bonus weeks and training that will be available for many of you. That's going to really come down to your participation and your status of how you entered the program. But it's my desire to make sure that I can give you everything I possibly can, all 27 years of my experience in speaking in public and training and inspiring and coaching and actually doing speaking camps to teach people how to become speakers. I want to give you everything I possibly can each and every week. And every week I may be in a different situation. Some weeks I may be standing, some weeks I may sit, some weeks I'll go into my patented high chair. But the bottom line is I want to welcome you all to Inspired to Speak One-on-One Succeed. I'm excited. I'm excited because I haven't done a camp in over a year. You know, when the pandemic hit, you know, we had an event in March, but we didn't have any camps throughout the entire year between that and surgeries and rehab, and because most of our camps were always live. So I want to welcome you to this first virtual camp, and we really are going to. I hope you're going to enjoy it. You're going to get a lot of good information. Every week's going to be a little bit different. So make sure you're taking a lot of copious notes. Okay. Don't just rely upon trying to record it. You know, when you're writing, they say to think is to put it in ink. When you're writing, it actually activates a different part of your brain to your learning and your understanding, which is going to be very, very helpful when it comes to your execution of this information as well. So let's talk a little bit about this platform, this program. During the next 5 or let's say 6 weeks, we're going to be covering many topics, and many of you have your workbook already has been emailed to you. Every week, we're going to add pages to the workbook as I don't want anybody getting too far ahead of me. But when you're done, you're going to have a full syllabus, so to speak, that is actually copyrighted. You know, everything we have now is copyrighted, is patented. Everything is protected because we understand the power of this information. Of this 27 years of my life, my experiences, and working with some of the top speakers on the planet and coaching many of them as well. So this week, we're going to talk about building your psychological foundation. How do we build that foundation of communication? Okay, you're going to learn a lot about yourself, but you're also going to have a different viewpoint of how you're going to start approaching things. That is my hope, my deepest desire, that I can make a shift in the way that you will approach people in your life or people in your business or people you want to enroll or the people you're selling to, whatever that may be, because this course is designed to really serve people in all areas of communication. It is the beginning course for people who want to become a public speaker. This is the beginning, the foundation. A psychological foundation is everything. For people who are working in corporate America and you want to learn to communicate either upwards or on your peers or even to your employees. How do you really do that? So we're going to be covering a lot of different topics in deep sea diving. For the most part, you're going to hear me talking to you. But at the end of the course, I'm going to give you all a Zoom ID and a Zoom passcode. And you're going to get off of this feed and go directly to zoom.us. And you're going to type in join a meeting and type in the ID and the passcode that I will give you. And then we'll have some more interaction, because it's not just going to be 5 weeks of me talking. It's going to really be a lot of interactive things, certain things I want to see, certain things I want you to do, and certain questions I want you to have the ability to ask as well. So this first week is building your psychological foundation. Now, next week, we're going to go into storytelling, the power of storytelling, extremely important. And when I talk about storytelling, it's going to start with telling your personal story, but then we're going to migrate and we're going to go into some other territories. How do you tell the story about your company, about your business? How do you tell your financial story if you want to get investors? Okay. How are you going to tell that story? So we're going to spend a lot of time on storytelling for your personal life and your business life. And then the following week on the 13th, we're going to go through the rhythm of your presentation. You're going to find that when you're speaking, you want to catch a rhythm very, very quickly. The rhythm is going to be the key to enrollment. And enrollment is just about getting people to have a series of repeated yeses. It's about agreement. And we're going to deep sea dive into that. We're going to talk about the number one frequency in the world, which is the frequency of vibration. That's the number one law, is that law of vibration. And that frequency is really what's going to allow you to tap into that rhythm and be able to get in that rhythm every single time. It's almost like, imagine that you're doing something and you get into that zone. You're able to summon that zone every single time. Okay. So we're going to talk about how do you get into that rhythm. And then on the 20th of February, we're going to talk about agreement. We're going to talk about enrollment. We're going to talk about embedded commands. We're going to deep sea dive in some more psychological parts of your talk so you can put these things together and stack them together. I want you to put the ingredients in, just if you had a crock pot and you're putting each ingredient in at its proper time, stirring it properly, letting it cook and let it simmer a little bit, and then adding the next ingredient. Okay, it's going to be very, very powerful for you. On the 27th, we're going to take a break because that's going to be our limitless event. And each and every one of you all are invited at no additional cost. That's going to be the 26th, that Friday, the 27th, and the 28th. Now, the cool thing about it is that on the 26th, I'm going to be conducting an entire day. We'll have a couple of panels for the people we'll have on our TV network. You're going to meet a lot of our talk show hosts as we're doing the pre-launch for JD3 TV. But for the most part, in that day, I'm going to start off with the first portion of the day, the first half of the day, talking about overcoming self-defeating behaviors. Back in 1999, I wrote my first program called MAP, Millionaire Aptitude Programming. And the MAP program began on really, how do you become unstuck? How do you break the trappings of the habits that hold us back, that keep us from achieving? Where does it come from? Where does our thought process come from? What is our paradigm, and where does that come from? How does it begin, and how can you adjust it and shift it? After all, the hardest person to make a shift in is usually yourself. And that's where it has to begin, because example is everything. So on that Limitless Day, we're going to talk a lot about that. We're going to ask you to go a little deeper into your hurt, into your pain, to really go into your story, to identify for yourself what's stopping you. We'll talk about human defense mechanisms. Really, what do you do to guard yourself every single time? Because when you have that awakening, that awareness, then you realize what is happening and you can make a different decision. So I'm really excited about that day. We're going to talk about productivity, time management, the definition of time. We're going to talk about the definition of management. How do you put those two together? Okay. How do you control the events? We're going to talk about being super productive, to get more, as they say in the Army, more done by 10 a.m. than most people do all day long. So we're going to talk about a lot of great things when it comes to productivity, to time management, to eliminate procrastination in your life, be on path and purpose, and become more productive. How to get more done with measurable results is what it's really about, and how to become goal-centered as well. The second half of the day, we're really going to talk a lot about communications. Some of the things we've talked about here, just a little bit of that we'll talk about again there. But then we'll talk about how to explode your business through media. As you look at the evolution of the internet, and just society in general. I mean, think about it. The last two presidents we've had, they've been able to run a country pretty much through Twitter. Through Twitter, can you believe it? So the way we communicate is really shifting, and how media is that next big thing to take your message, and how you can align yourself with JD3 to take your message, your story, and get it out there to the world, which is going to help build your brand. It's going to help build your influence, and then it's going to help build your end results that you desire to accomplish. So we're going to talk a lot about that on the 26th, 27th, and the 28th. If you have not registered, please go to limitless2021.com and get registered for the event, and share with all your friends. Share with everyone. That event is absolutely free. It's not a paid for event, so just feel free to share it. We're going to come back on the 5th of March, and we're going to talk about building your legacy and your perfect pitch and your gold medal talent. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about that today, but we're really going to go deep into your gold medal talent. And we're going to start showing you how communication is the cornerstone for your legacy. Your communication is going to take you step by step, inch by inch, towards the things that you desire to accomplish in your entire life, because communication is also internal as well. So we got a lot to talk about. I'm pretty excited about it. So let's just start with the 5 types of communication. Okay. Now, communication, of course, is verbal. Verbal communication is pretty simple. You hear it right from the mouth. You hear it. Okay. And then you have nonverbal. Nonverbal communication comes in gestures. Okay. A lot of things you can do. Like if I do this, that's communication, right? If I do this, that's communication. So communication, if I smile or I raise my eyebrow, that is communication. So communication is not just verbal, it's also nonverbal. Communication is also written. And we know that. We live in the area of text. This is the world of texting and Facebook. Okay. So Instagram. So it's written, it's listening. Communication is always listening. And not just listening, but listening with intent, listening with the spirit. There's an old saying that says the ears hear, but the heart listens. Okay. How to listen inside of your spirit, that that you're in alignment, how to tap into that area of discernment. And then communication is also visual communication. So during the next few weeks, we're going to talk about that. Oh, and by the way, there's also going to be a bonus week. I always over deliver. So it's going to be bonus week or weeks, because we want to make sure by the time this is over that you've got everything you need. And not only do you have the ingredients, but you put them together at the right time, put them together at the right moment. You stir them at the right moment as well. And you put it together, simmered to perfection, where you almost smell it, that when you open up your mouth, the world is listening to you. Okay. I'm going to encourage you to become a lifelong learner. I really want to encourage you to do that. One of the challenges most people have is that the conversation never, ever, ever changes. So you want to always build upon everything you know. And I'm going to talk about some of the philosophies of Socrates and Aristotle as well. Some of the forefathers of communication. So we're going to tie this thread together in that way. There are 6 types of speakers, in my opinion. One speaker is transformational. That's a speaker whose objective is to create change in a behavior, create change in a culture, to create change, to impact change in a person. Okay? That's very, very powerful. The next one is motivational. The motivational is really much to attain a goal. I mean, you want to inspire or motivate someone to accomplish this, whether it's to increase sales for a company, or you want to inspire someone to get up early and the children have to clean their room every single day. How do you motivate and inspire them? Okay, so you have transformational, and then you have motivational. Motivational is when you want to get them to do something, a specific goal. Then you have educational. Educational is when you're teaching a subject matter. Something is what you are an expert in. That is the educational speaker. They're speaking from a standpoint of like a professor. They're subject matter experts. Then you have your activist. Now, your activist is designed really to share and deliver ideas, or to enroll and recruit people. Okay, that would be your activist. And that's a type of speaker. We live in an age now where a lot of people are activists now. People now are speaking their truth. They're speaking their truth. They want to be heard, and they're enrolling people in their ideas and recruiting people into their causes. That would be your activist. But then you have the wannabe. The wannabe speaker is the one that they talk loud, but they really want attention. They really do. They don't have a lot of substance. It's like candy. It tastes really good, but there's no nutritional value in it. So that would be the wannabe speaker. I don't want you to be the wannabe speaker. I want you to do the work, because there are two types of people: those who work and those who watch. If you do the work, then the doors will open. If you're simply watching and you want to be that wannabe because it makes you feel good to have the attention, you're going to find that you're going to be in a deep hole. You always return to a spot, and you figure out why. You wonder why you can't progress, or why you can't find that happiness, or why is your bank account not moving? Why am I still pretty much in the same spot? Why am I plateauing at a certain level? Communication is very, very powerful. And then the next speaker would be the one who has the hidden agenda. Those speakers that come in and they want to get in front of a group of people because they have another agenda that they really want to talk about. They would enroll people, or they want to sell people, or they're building their database, but they have the hidden agenda. So there's 6 different types of speakers, and there's 5 very types of communication. People can argue that you can take the types of communication, you can drag it on to be a good 10 different types. But I want to stick with the first 5 because I promise you they're going to encompass everything else that will come later. Let's talk about Socrates. Socrates, I think he died in 399 BC. And Socrates is a philosopher born in Athens. And he was like the founder of Western philosophy, pretty much. He had quotes like, "An unexamined life is not worth living." He said that if you have a life and you're not examining a life, if you're not telling your story, if you're not documenting your path and to identify your purpose, then a lot of things get lost, and you wind up with a lot of empty spaces, a lot of empty gaps. That was his philosophy. I always say that you live life forward, you understand life backwards. But a life worth living is worth recording. Because when you look at the path of your life, then the path you've taken, and look, I call them the breadcrumbs. When you look at the breadcrumbs of your life, the little things you dropped along the way while you're telling your story, well, you can examine why you are the way you are right now. And that's the first step to creating change or making a massive shift in your life. Remember, that Albert Einstein said it best: you cannot elevate to another level in your life, in your living, or your experience in your living, utilizing the same level of thinking that got you where you are. Okay. So I get excited when I get a chance to talk about some of these things. I remember Socrates also said, the only thing I know is that I know nothing at all. The only thing I know is that I know nothing at all. I'm going to ask you to challenge yourself. I want to ask you to challenge everything that you know. I want you to doubt some of the things you know, not doubt them where you're not sure and you can operate with certainty, but look for more within the things that you think you know. How do you separate yourself from the pack? How do you separate yourself from the masses? You see, in our human experience, people pretty much conform, not failure. Conformity is the great sin. Conformity is the great pain, because then we just simply adapt because we kind of blend in. And if we blend in, then we won't stick out. And if we don't stick out, then of course, then we can escape the obvious, because everybody's in the same spot. So how are you going to separate yourself from the pack? And that's really, really going to be the key. So Socrates also talked about 3 types of speaking. I want you to write this down. And I want you to know that you're also going to be getting some notes and some slides. You're going to be emailed those next week. You're going to get more different parts of your book that expand it to help you along the journey. But I want to make sure you're taking notes, not just looking at visual. We will have some visuals, but I want you to take a lot of notes. Okay. I want you to write this down. Ethos, 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 ethos. Okay. Then I want you to write logos, Logos, ethos, logos. Ethos, logos. And then I want you to write pathos, 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 ethos, logos, and pathos. Now, Ethos, Socrates says, when a person uses this type of communication, they're operating from a standpoint of credibility. Credibility means, as a doctor, my advice to you would be, that would be ethos. They're operating from their credibility. As your attorney, I would recommend that you take this path of action. That is your ethos. Okay. Now, logos is using logic. It's just when you use a lot of logic. Now, uh, unlike ethos, when you use logos, you're using a lot of facts, you're using data, you're using charts, you're using statistics. You're calling on statistics. So it's not you as claiming the truth, it is the statistics show that this is the truth. Okay? So ethos, the credibility, your subject matter expert, what space you occupy that you own, that you're an expert in, that's ethos. Okay? Logos, you're backing it up with credibility, with facts, with information, things that are very hard to dispute. Okay. And then you have your last is pathos, which is going from emotion. Pathos is when you use your voice a certain way. And we're going to talk about how to use your voice like a soundtrack to a movie. I love the first day because this is about building the foundation of your learning, the foundation in your communication. We're going to spend a lot of time on that and on the personality traits as well. We're going to migrate a little bit into your story today because it's so rich. There's so much to do in storytelling. So you're going to find that we may have a little storytelling attached to each lesson. Okay, because it's very, very important to get very comfortable and very confident in knowing how to tell your story. But by the end, we want to make sure that you master your pitch. Master your pitch. So when you tell people what you do and who you are, they get it. And you're speaking into their listening as though you're giving them the results. In other words, it's not about what you want to say. It's really always about what other people want to hear. So ethos, logos, and pathos. Now, you're going to have homework every single session. Okay. It's going to be homework. So I'm sorry we can't get everything done here. And the homework, we won't grade it. But in your Facebook group, you're going to have the ability to communicate with each other inside of the group and work together in the group. You're going to share different ideas and concepts and things that you learn inside of the group. That's going to help you in your learning because now each person supports the other person. If you want to be inside the group and get really personal with it, you feel free to go ahead and enter your name, your email address, and your phone number into the group. Okay. That way you all can support each other even on a higher level. If you're more private, you don't really want to talk to a lot of people, don't want to be, have your private business out there, your private number out there, then don't do it. You can just enter the group. But it's my desire that you all would get together and pick some personal time or group time inside of the group where you can work on these things together because everyone's going to hear something a little bit different because you're also listening through your paradigm. You're listening through a filter. It's called the already, always listening. The already, always listening. It was already there and it's always there. You may not know it, but it's always there. The way you listen, it comes from a place and you listen from a place. You speak from a place. So as we're learning to broaden it out, the best way to do that is to share your ideas, your thoughts, your breakthroughs, your challenges with other people in the group because now you're working on it yourselves. And when you work on it yourselves, you'll get the outcomes that you really want. Now, I want to put up a slide on the screen, and I'm going to pop a slide up, and we're going to talk about communication being your currency. Communication being your currency. Yeah, communication is going to be a new currency. Communication is going to help you when it comes to enrolling people. If you're a network marketer, getting more customers or getting people that want to be a part of your team. Remember, people follow people. They don't follow organizations. They just follow people. Okay. Communication will help you in your friendships and your relationships. A lot of times we have little hiccups or stumbling blocks in a relationship because of lack of communication. Even no matter how close that relation is, the communication is always going to be the key. It's going to be the currency. The currency allows you to purchase things, to get access to things. So communication is your currency. And it's going to be your currency when it comes to pitching to get investors, to creating your story, to enroll people, to be a part of the JD3 network. It's all going to come down to the power of communication. But I want to back up and talk about how did this whole thing start for me. So I'm going to click on the next slide, talk about James Dentley. I'm an international speaker. I'm a best-selling author, a business sculptor as well, a trainer and philanthropist. So I'm going to leave that slide there for a second because I want to kind of walk through this. When I got started in this field, I got started actually in network marketing. Had no interest in becoming a speaker, didn't have a clue, but I found myself doing presentations several times a day. I found myself doing them every single day. Then I found myself doing trainings and then leadership trainings. And then people would hire me to come to their organizations to speak about leadership, to speak about breakthrough, the things I had learned to help myself become successful, and the things I observed and the other people around me, and the things I have gotten from the mentors who helped get me there, helped me build the platform. And I began to become a speaker. And then in 1998, I went over to Europe for the very first time. I've been through Canada, but I went over to Europe, first time over the seas, over the water, and I spoke in the UK. Got a chance to speak in the UK and got a standing ovation because of the training that I got in my own hometown throughout the United States of America. That training prepares you. If you look at Martin Luther King, the famous speech, I Had a Dream, he had said that same speech maybe hundreds of times in smaller venues. When he got to the steps of the Capitol, he actually had prepared another speech. And at the last moment, he went back to the speech that never failed him. That was his fallback speech, his fallback talk, that anchored talk that delivered every single time. And then the world heard it. And now the world understands, I have a dream. Becoming an international speaker, whether you want to become a professional speaker or you in your business, you want to understand that in speaking internationally, you want to learn cultures as well. Because communication is not just what you're saying, it's what the other person is hearing. So I've got a chance now to speak in about 14 to 15 different countries. And so it's been an honor. And the more I get around people, I find that we're more alike than we are different. I'm also an author, best-selling author of The 5 Frequencies of High Performance. But most people don't know that I've actually written 4 books prior to that, beginning Living Your Life in High Definition, Spirit as well, network marketing books as well, and 8 different programs, 8 different program books that now we have copywritten everything, different syllabus that we've created right now in teaching to track the things that work, to understand the things that don't work and why they don't work, so we can stand on both of those platforms. As a business sculptor, I work with a Power Team International for well over a decade. I would say almost 2 decades, actually, working with my dear friend Bill Walsh, who's one of the best in the business. But through that, I've been also opened up about 15 different corporations in my lifetime. And I found a lot of things that work, and I found a lot of things that don't work. And I found those through failures, through challenges, through things that didn't work out the right way. In the prosperous times, you can pull it from the pocket, but in the lean times, you got to pull it from the heart. You have to learn how to get back up and find out what works and what went wrong, and so you don't keep repeating the same things. And working with those organizations, and also working with the Executives Club, having a chance to be in the rooms with some of the highest level entrepreneurs, the CEO of Uber or the Melinda Gates or people of that nature, Charles Schwab, to be in those environments really kind of help you as far as learning how to sculpt a business. But again, is also becoming a lifelong learner. Also as a trainer. Now, I think that was a gift that God just gave me because I've been able to train people my entire career. Even from a kid, I was always able to train people, even working in the restaurant business, to take classmates from high school and get them into management, about 14 of them. So training was something that was more natural. But the thing that really drives me is being a philanthropist, to give back. I brought this up because you're going to identify and build your story out. Who are you? Who are you? And I want to give you your first bit of homework, and I want you to write this down. I want you to contact 5 people that know you and like you and trust you. And I want you to ask them for 3 reasons why they like you, 3 reasons why they know you, and 3 reasons why they trust you. Okay? I want you to write that down. You're going to get some clarity of who you are. Because when we go forth in everything that we're doing is to identify your gold medal talent, to find out what it is you do so well, because that's going to help you identify the space and the foundation of which you will stand from in everything that you do. So I want you to talk to 5 people. I said 3. Make it 5. Make it fun. Make it 10 if you want. Why do they like you? What do you do really well? What are you? That's the first part of your homework. Okay. You want to find out that space. And as you're building your business, I want to encourage you to give back, to go out there and make a difference in the lives of other people. All right, let me go to the next slide. That's enough there. All right. I've been in this industry now for 27 years in multi-level marketing. There were over 27, really. One of my claims of fame is that I've trained 83 people to become millionaires. Well, let me explain that. I have trained a lot of people. I've been in front of over 750,000 people in different parts of the world. Some of my audiences have been over 20,000 people in one time, and some of them have been two people at one time. Some of you guys got an earful one-on-one. But after training so many people, all I did was taught people what worked for me. The same things I was taught, I passed it on. And I always wonder, why is it only 83? It's 84 now. Why is it that only 84 people made the shift? We're going to talk about that because in communication and in personal communication and inner communication, you're going to learn how to turn that switch inside of yourself to identify what's holding you back and understanding that you don't have to become a millionaire. You don't really have to become a millionaire. You can be happy without that. Get halfway there, and I think that's pretty cool. I believe everyone should try to be a millionaire for no other reason than the experience, because then you can operate from an example, operate with a story and a standpoint that inspires so many other people that are hurting, because you can serve and help so many people once you get money as an issue out of the way. Okay, so we're going to keep moving through this. Next slide is going to be, okay, my slide, there we go. All right, we're talking about communication. It begins with the way that you think. Your thoughts influence your words. Continuous words, they influence your actions. And your actions, they create your habits. Now, I'm going to say this poem, Habit. Some of you have heard it before. I remember saying this poem, and I was in Les Brown's camp, and I was teaching. And we were having a sit down around the conference table with all of the students around. And we were going back and forth, Les and I. And when I said the poem, he said, I've never heard that poem spoken like that. I can use that. Now, Les Brown has been doing this for 40, 50 years now. He's 78 years old, 76, 77 years old. Been doing this for years. But the bottom line and the point I want to make is that he always says you're never too old to learn and you're never too young to teach. So you learn from each other. Your words influence your actions. Your actions develop your habits. You want to collect a series of quotes, poems, and sayings. You want to know them like the back of your hand. Habit. Who am I? I am your constant companion. I am your greatest helper or your heaviest burden. I will lift you upward or I will drag you down to failure. If you teach me to do a thing repeatedly, I'll begin to do it automatically. I am easily managed, but you must be firm with me. I am the first to all those who are great, and alas, those who are failures as well. Those who are great, I have made great. Those who are failures, I have made failures. I am not a machine, yet I operate with the precision of a machine, yet the intelligence of a human being. But if you teach me and train me, I'll lay the work at your feet. But if you are easy with me, I will destroy you. You can run me for profit, or you can run me for ruin. It makes no difference to me. Who am I? I am called Habit. Habit is my name. I wanted to recant that poem for you, and I wanted to hear it the way I said it, because we're going to talk about how to use your voice like a soundtrack. And you're going to go back and listen and see how I move some of the words around. Some of the words in the poem, I may move it around a little bit. I may substitute a word with the same meaning in a certain poem. But when I say it, I am saying it from a standpoint of credibility, and I'm saying it from a standpoint of logic, because I'm quoting something that makes sense to other people. But in the way I quote it, people know that I'm an expert in my field and I know it. And I want you to make a habit to seek out new information, seek out new poems and prose. And I'll tell you the magic of using poems in just a moment, because there's magic there. Okay. There's a deep psychological advantage in using a poem. That's the reason I use them. And I coined this. Okay. So you get it from me. Okay. But the habits you create, the habits is when you're speaking. Somebody says, Well, I saw that. That was for real, though. Come on, man. Or they speak and you say a lot of ums and ahs and catch yourself with that That's a habit. Okay. So you want to shift the habit by putting in a new habit. To not to be lazy in your language. Write that down. Don't be lazy in your language. Matter of fact, sit up straight. Sit up. Now I see you. Sit up. Don't be lazy in your language. Language is the key. It gives you the access to the future that you want, but you cannot be language. Even from your affirmations, you have to be able to speak with power and passion, even inside yourself, in a quiet listening, just in your head, in your spirit. We're going to talk about different things you do internally and how you're going to communicate to get yourself on power and passion, purpose. So when you get up and speak, you take all of your energy and you bring it all together. And when you open it up, it's a quiet intensity. It comes out very smooth. You want to create habits of becoming a great communicator. That doesn't mean you have to say every word perfectly. No. But when you open up your mouth, the world knows who you are. And you want to create a good habit of that. Okay, habit. Your habits equal your character. See, if you do something repeatedly and create a habit of it, that's your character. If you see me and I steal all the time, then I'm going to be labeled as a thief. Okay, if I use people, I'm going to be labeled as a person as a user. Okay, so the habits that you create, that describes your character. And your character equals your destiny. Because in communication and in life, you don't get what you want, you get who you are. There's a lot of things we can talk about in communication, even on a spiritual sense, and we'll play with that as we go a little bit deeper. I don't want to get into religion, but I want to talk about when you call out certain words. Let there be light. How do you say that? How do you call out those words that you want, to call the things you want into your life? So mindset and communication go hand in hand because you're always talking. It's always words being said. And either you're enrolling or you're being enrolled. Okay, so you have to control that. Okay, let's go to the next slide. All right. What causes us to struggle? The weakness of attention, the poverty of imagination, lack of mentorship, lack of becoming coachable. But failure is sometimes essential for growth. For me and for most people, when you get tired of getting your behind kicked for doing the exact same things over and over, we decide to grow. John C. Maxwell, in his book, he quoted a young lady and she defined 5 chapters of life. She said, chapter number 1, I walk down the street. There's a hole in the street. I don't see the hole. I trip and I fall in. I'm in this hole. I'm upset. I'm angry. Why didn't they cover the hole? Who put the hole here? Why would it be a sign for the hole? This is ridiculous. There's a hole in my street. I'm angry. I'm frustrated. Eventually, when I'm done, I get out this hole. Chapter number 2, I walk down the same street. There's a hole in the street. I try to walk around the hole and I slip and I fall in. I'm really mad. This hole is still here. There's still no sign. They still haven't covered it. I'm upset. The city should have repaired this hole. I'm in this hole, but I get out a little bit sooner now. Chapter number 3, I walk down the same street. There's a hole in the street. I try to jump over the hole. I come up short and I fall in. Wow. I'm back in this hole again. I created a habit. This really sucks. I get out the hole a lot faster. Chapter number 4, I walk down the street and there's a hole in the street. So I walk around the hole. Chapter number 5, I walk down another street. The thing that causes us to struggle is we do the same exact thing the same way because we have this need to become right. And that all comes from the communication, what you're saying to yourself that validates yourself. Write this down. It's very important because when you're communicating with others and self, you want to understand who you're communicating to. The greatest human need is a need of significance. That we want to count, that we want to matter. We want to count, we want to matter. And if we can't get it, we're burning the whole house down. Because we want to be significant. You hear me. And that significance can take us in a positive direction or a negative direction. But it takes us somewhere because we have need to become significant. Okay? And it's so interesting because we're already significant. You see, in communicating, which we're going to get to the good stuff in just a moment, but in communication is inward communication to become inner directed. Write that word down, inner directed. Inner directed. Second part of your homework, I want you to write down 3 areas that you can improve on right now in your communication, and how would those areas help you achieve the goals you have for your life, whatever they may be. Okay. The second part of your homework is the poverty of imagination. Write down 2 of your biggest dreams. There are no limitations. What is your biggest dream? Most people suffer from the poverty of imagination. How is it that some of us we're stuck on just trying to, how do we pay a bill next month, or how do we endure going to work another day or another week or another year? And other people are sending people to space. They got a ship that's about to take off. I think it's SpaceX, I believe. And they're going to go to the space station. And they're taking 3 passengers at $55 million per seat. First of all, we dreamt of going to space, but not on a commercial standpoint. Would you agree that there is no poverty of imagination there? To go to space, to go to the space station, to build a station, to build a condo in space, there's no oxygen, there is no gravity. That is not a poverty of imagination. So remember, there's no magic in small dreams. You want to have big, audacious dreams. Don't get stuck on them. Like, if you don't make it to the top of the mountain, then maybe you'll die on the side, but you won't be at the bottom of the mountain looking up, wishing, wailing, wanting, with feeling of regret, unfulfilled life. Communication is going to be everything, but it's beginning with how you communicate with yourself. With yourself. That's going to be key. All right. Is that our number 6 slide? Is that the number 6 slide? We got one? Yeah, power communication, inner and outer. And we talked about inner and outer communication. So I kind of went through that already. And so what I want to do now, I'm going to just kind of shift a little bit. And I want to go into our personality traits. Now, all of you would email your personality traits. I would dare to say that most people haven't got a chance to go through it. So we want to walk through your personality traits of the shark, the dolphin, the urchin, and the whale. Now, some of you've been in my courses. You've heard us go through this before. I want you to go through it again for 2 reasons. Number one, in communication and learning how to become a better communication, most of you who have taken a personality profile, you know who you are, but you don't know how to become what you're not. Okay, let me say that again. You know what personality you have. What you don't know how to do is become the personality that you're not. Become the person that you are not, so you can communicate on a higher level with someone else who is not like you. I have a lot of friends, and they're different races, they're different religions, they're different beliefs, they're different politics, different countries. I mean, they're everywhere. They're all over the board, from people in Thailand or people in Mumbai. If you're born in India, 70% of the people will be Hindu there. Okay. So if you're here, you may be a lot of Christian or Catholic or Muslim. Well, does God love you and hate them? Well, how do you communicate? Because they're all people. Because what you live, you learn. What you learn, you practice. And what you practice, you become. Pretty much, it's pretty simple. Okay. It's just a mixed bag. But when you're communicating with different people, you have to learn how to listen with intent. Write that down. Listen with intention. That means you're listening for an understanding. When you're listening with intent, that means you're focused. You're not thinking about what you want to say. You're not in your head in agreement. You're making the right eye contact. You're repeating some of the things that they said to you. That gives clearer understanding, because not only do you know that what they said because you repeated it, but they know that you know. And people will always be drawn to you if they feel like you hear them. People just want to be heard. Oftentimes my mind is racing a mile a minute, and my wife, Kara, her mind is racing a mile a minute, and she starts talking, and I already know what she's going to go to. I know what she wants to say. And 100% of the time, I'm wrong. because I already jumped there without listening with intention. So it's something that we all must continuously do on an ongoing basis. The second reason I want you to redo your personality profile is that I want you to redo it every 6 months because you should be moving all the time. As your life moves, as you become older, as you get more information or different information, as the environment changes, those personalities can shift. And as you're working on yourself, you should see a healthier balance in these personality profiles. So let's talk about it. You have your personality profile. If you don't have it, it was sent to you in an email. If you did not get it, respond to the email and they'll make sure well, you didn't get the email, but you got some email because you're here. So just respond to our team and we'll make sure that you get this personality profile. It comes from Personality Plus. I love it because it's extremely simple and simple things work. When things are working, you don't have to change them. You can build upon them, but you don't have to change them. Okay, here. So the shark. Sharks are very driven people. They are somewhat money motivated. They are extremely competitive. They like to win at all costs. They're somehow, and sometimes they come off as being a little abrasive, a little abrupt, very direct people. When they dress, they'll have on their suit with their power ties on, or they'll have on their very expensive watch, rings. They like to drive luxury cars. They like the cars that make them feel powerful and sexy. And that's your shark. But sometimes they just want to win at all costs and they'll just run over somebody to win. Sometimes you may think they're unfeeling because it's always about money. It's always about winning. Is there more to it than just winning? Vince Lombardi said it best. He said, winning is not a sometime thing. Winning is an all the time thing. Winning can be habit forming, but unfortunately, so can losing. Okay. That's your shark. We all know sharks. Say yes, yes. Okay. Then we have our dolphins. Dolphins love to have fun. Dolphins, they're very colorful. They like a lot of colors. If you see someone with blue in their hair, that's a dolphin. Blue, green, different color. The dolphin. Big earrings. Ladies have big earrings. Big loops in there, a lot of jewelry around their wrists or around their neck. That is their dolphin. They've got rings in their nose and in their lip, ring on top of the eye. That's your dolphin. Okay? They love to have fun. They're the life of the party. Dolphins are the life of the party. When they show up, man, it gets lively. They're sitting around waiting for the dolphins just to come in the house, and they're coming in, party. Here it comes. They love their music. They love their music cranking. They love to have fun. They love to dance. The music makes them move. That is your dolphin. Dolphins are also disorganized. They're not the most organized people in the world. And, they don't make up their bed maybe 2 or 3 days a week. Their philosophy is simple. If I don't have to make up the bed, why do it every day? I'm getting right back in it. That would be your dolphin. They're going to be late most of the time. They're not going to show up on time. You guys know who you are. And some of you know some dolphins in your life. They can look in the trunk of their car, and that's your dolphin test. That truck is a mess. Okay, they probably got a cat in there. They lost in there 2 years ago, just found him. I wonder what that smell was. Okay, that'd be a dolphin. Dolphins just love to have fun, life of the party. Then you have your urchin, URCHIN, URCHA, and your urchin. Urchins are very analytical. They would be your engineers, your professors. They like information. They love a lecture. Woo. You say a lecture, and the urchin would be front and center. You give a lecture to a dolphin, they make their behind hurt. They'd be fidgety in their seat. Okay? So urchins, they dress in conservative colors. They wear a lot of your blues and your grays and your browns, sometimes all at once. If you see someone with a shirt on that has a pocket in the top, on the chest, and they have pins in that pocket, or they have a pad in that pocket, or some type of phone or device in the pocket, that's your urchin. Okay? They love information. They don't like hype. They don't think everything is fun. They have a different type of sense of humor. They have one, but it's a little different. Okay? And they love things that start on time. They get irritated by you if you don't start on time. That's your urchin. And then you have your whale. Your whales are nurturers. Your whales love to help other people. The whales are social workers. Your whales are sometimes somebody in a hospital really cares, a nurse that just really, really cares, he or she, even a doctor that really, really cares. That person in a house of worship, if you're into that, they're always there to help and support. They love to support people. They're supporters. Okay. Love is their key language, and love is always soft. Okay. Those are the people who would nurture you. They dress in earth tones. Now, that means they just like to blend in. They don't really like to stand out. So you have your shark, your dolphin, your urchin, and your whale. Now, got news for you. Each and every one of you all have all four personalities already. But when we take the personality profile, we'll find out where you score. How high is your shark? How high is your dolphin? How high is your urchin? How high is your whale? How low is your shark, your dolphin, your urchin, and your whale? And you got to find out and be to understand why sometimes there are people you do not get along with because you're not speaking their language. You're speaking against their language. I'll give you an example. If I'm talking about making money and I'm talking to a whale doesn't want to hear that. A whale wants to know, am I making a difference? But that whale may not say anything, but the whale will be turned off by me. If I am a whale and I want to talk about a cause and I'm a shark, if I'm a whale talking to that shark, the shark has shut the whale down because the shark doesn't want to hear that. If I'm a shark and I'm talking to another shark and I'm attacking that shark, then there's going to be a shark fight. But if I'm saying words that empower that shark, then we're going to be in alignment with one another. If I am a dolphin and I'm talking to an urchin, the first thing is I need to be on time, and on time means I'm early. You're going to find there was one gentleman that we have here today, and he's a finance guy. He was the first person here. Boy, he called me. I tell you, it was about 35 minutes before it was time for us to start. And he was already on here looking for people. That would be an urchin. That's the urchin that does that. And then you have the dolphin that got on here 5 minutes after we started. And the real dolphin got on here 20 minutes after we started and wondered why we could not wait. The dolphins wonder why we can't compromise. It's not that big of a deal. The urchin is all a big deal. Everything has its place. Everything must be in its place. They're very neat people. They're very organized people. I mean, everything will be in alignment. All their shoes will be perfectly lined up. So if I am a dolphin and I'm talking to an urchin, I better have some facts, because if I don't have any facts to talk about, then I'm going to shut off. That person's going to shut off from me. They don't want to hear it. If I'm not on time, I've already discounted my credibility. The same token, if I am an urchin and I'm talking to a dolphin and I'm just giving you facts and information, you're making me feel uncomfortable as a dolphin because it's not entertaining. I like things that go fast. I like things that move around. You think about it, your sharks and your dolphins move very quickly through the water. Your urchin and your whales are very slow through the water. It's going to take the time. And that's why the people that make quick decisions will usually be your sharks and your dolphins. Your urchins will make them if you give them enough information to validate that decision. And this is how you speak into the listening of another human being. This is where you begin to understand that it's not just about your truth. If you want to become an effective leader or effective in sales or effective in leadership in any aspect, whether it be in your family, whether it be in your business or it be in your group, then you have to become an effective communicator. And you must speak their language. So never let what you want to say get in the way of what they need to hear. Ask yourself the one question, that if making the adjustments in the way I communicate and understanding the personality traits, and then next we're going to go through the soundtrack to the other part of the psychology of your speaking, if that can help you enroll one person that can change your life, or if it can help you to be able to make one point to a family member or a close friend that would put this relationship on an entirely different level, would it be worth it? If the way you communicate, if you did it one way, would help your child to love school or to get passionate or get locked into something that they like and that they want to do, that's very impactful for their world, your world, and theirs. Would it be worth it? Or is it just important to be right? I find that so many people want to be right. Not effective. People want to be right. They don't want to be rich. People want to be right. They don't want to have a loving relationship. They want to be right. We're going to teach you how to let all that go and speak into that listening, speak into that very nervous system of another human being. You're going to do that, first of all, by understanding that psychology. Let's go to the next slide. Let's talk about that dolphin, shark, urchin one. Let me show you some graphics of it. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let me hit that button. Now, we're going to talk about your sharks. We talked about that. There's your shark. Okay. And don't worry, you're going to get these slides. There's your dolphin. Okay. Your urchin. See how slowly urchin has to move. And your whale. Okay. Move very, very slowly. Very slowly. Non-confrontational. Now we're going to move on to the soundtrack. The soundtrack is, I love this part because this is where it gets really cool and how you're really going to learn to put these things together. Now, you're going to be using these as you start to write your story and share your story, because you're going to share your story inside of your group as well. You're going to share your story with each other as you're connecting with different people inside of the group. And you're going to share the story with your family and friends and anyone that you can capture their attention. Get good at sharing your story. Okay. But you want to use it as a soundtrack of a movie and make your voice be the soundtrack. When you go to a movie, do you realize that the soundtrack, the music that you don't even pay attention to, really defines the emotion, the feeling, and your experience at the entire movie theater? It really does. You know, you look at the soundtrack when you go in a grocery store. The music in a grocery store helps you with your buying decisions. They help you to make those decisions. The music in the elevator is there for a very specific reason. What they play, there's a reason why they played it. In a movie, if you're thinking about, let's just say, for example, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Okay. Scream. He's got the black hoodie on, and he's got the long white mask on, and he's running around stabbing people. Oh, gross movie. But, okay, think about it. You're watching this movie, and there's a killer in his house, and they got this long knife, and they're behind the door. And here she comes up the steps, one step, and she's behind the door. And she's behind that door. And she's coming up that step, and she opens up that door, and you think he's behind the door, and it's like, and it jolts your nervous system, and there's nobody there. So it takes your nervous system and jolts it up. Nobody's there, it brings it back down. And then she goes to the closet, and it's a real subtle sound. Boom. It takes your nervous system up, and there's nobody there to back down. And then she takes another step, turns around, there he is, and you hear, and then they stab. When the soundtrack of a movie is what makes you cry, what makes you laugh, what makes you tense up, become afraid, it's all by design. Your voice is a soundtrack. Think of it like this. That same movie screen. She's coming up the steps. Not behind the door. Not in the closet. Turn around. The music coming, but instead of you hear it changes the entire scene. It's about the soundtrack. So I'm going to help you now. We're going to go into the soundtrack of your voice. And you want to practice this over and over and over. And every week we're going to play with this. Because in everything you're doing, we're going to be talking about this story. We're going to talk about embedded commands. We're going to talk about open loops. But everything you're going to talk about and everything you're going to say and the way you're going to say it, we're going to add it. You're going to add the soundtrack. Add that soundtrack and adjust it based upon who you're speaking to. Now, the first part of your soundtrack is called loud and fast. Loud and fast creates impact. When you set yourself on fire, the world will come out and see you burn. See? When you do that, you'll feel the energy move in your body. You'll feel it move in your body when somebody says it. When I say it, you'll move it. It touches your nervous system. It jolts it. Inside of yourself, you feel the energy, you feel the power. Loud and fast. All right? So I know that you're in your own room. If you can, I want you to repeat after me, loud and fast. I want you to repeat these words, A-E-I-O-U, loud and fast. A-E-I-O-U. 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 Loud and fast. Loud and fast. Part of your homework is this week. I want you to rehearse that 3 times. 3 times in a row. 3 times during the week. Loud and fast. Create impact. Because what I want you to do is get in touch with how it makes your body feel. Because now you're moving energy around in your body. And that energy moving around is going to be very, very important when you deliver the message out to other people. Because the energy you have in, you're taking it and you're pushing it out. Okay? Impact. That's how you make a person not just hear you, but feel you. Loud and slow. Loud and slow creates emphasis. Emphasis. When you set yourself on fire, the world will come out and see you burn. So, A-E-I-O-U. A-E-I-O-U. Loud and slow. A-E-I-O-U. Emphasis. All right. So you'll feel the difference in your body again. Now, low and fast is for engagement. Low and fast will be engagement. When you go low and fast, then people know that you know your information. It won't be as though they'll hear and understand every word you're saying. They'll just know that you know. Sometimes when you're speaking, especially if you're speaking professionally, a person doesn't have to realize and just recant everything you said. They need to know that you know, because you're going to slow down and emphasize on the points you want to deliver, that you want to embed. Okay? So, as you go low and fast, is when you set yourself on fire, the world will come out and see you burn. When you set yourself on fire, the world will come out and see you burn. Yeah. It must be borne in mind that the true tragedy in life does not lie in not reaching your goal. The true tragedy lies in having no goal to reach for. It is not a disgrace not to capture your ideas, but it is a disgrace to have no ideals to capture. It's not a calamity not to live your dreams, but it is a calamity to have no dreams. It's not a disaster not to reach the stars, but it is a disaster to have no stars to reach for, because when you reach for the stars, even when you fall short, you come down with stardust in your hand. See, when you're saying it low, when you say low and fast, it's engagement. They're tuned in. They're trying to listen. They're coming in. They're coming in. They're coming in. Coming in. Trying to follow. The brain's moving. They catch little parts of it, but they won't remember it and recant it. But they know that you know, which builds the credibility for you. Low and fast for engagement. That's when you're anchoring your credibility. So A-E-I-O-U, 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 A-E-I-O-U. Loud and fast. A-E-I-O-U, A-E-I-O-U. Oh, I just jolted you. I can feel you jumping through the screen. He's screaming at me. A-E-I-O-U. A-E-I-O-U, A-E-I-O-U. Okay. And then finally, we got low and slow. That's for emotion. When you set yourself on fire, the world will come out and see you burn. You set yourself on fire, the world will come out and see you burn. Okay. So now, I want you to just repeat A-E-I-O-U. 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 When you set yourself on fire, the world will come out and see you burn. Slow and slow. I want you to take a moment, take about 2 minutes. I want you to just practice those. Just go through all 4 of those. We're going to take about a minute break, and then I want you to go through that while we're taking that break. Maybe take 2 minutes. Take a break, get some water, use the restroom, come right back, and we're going to go through that over and over and over again. A-E-I-O-U. A-E-I-O-U. I want you to pay very close attention about your body, how you feel inside of your body. Take a short break. We'll be right back in 2 minutes. Okay. I want you to now, let's go through the soundtrack, but let's attach that to the personality traits. If I'm talking to a shark, the most impactful things they'll get is how you make them feel, and you can do that by going loud and fast or loud and slow, creating an emphasis. But you also want to use um, your voice and take people to a point of what I call tension. Tension is when you drive the nervous system up and you relieve it and bring it back. You drive it up and you bring it back. You drive it up and then you bring it back. When you're doing that by using the soundtracks we just went through and that we're going to go through again, what you're doing is that you're breaking up the ground of their thought process, of their paradigm. You're breaking up the ground of what their truth is, where they're standing, to open them up to listening. And that way, when you break up the ground, then you can get the seeds into the cracks. Then you can get them in there. Okay. You really want to learn to become, write this down, persuasive and impactful. It helps you become persuasive and impactful in delivering your message. Okay. To keep people connected, because attention is major. Attention is major. Okay. So let's go through the shark. They're going to be more responsive to the loud and fast and the loud and slow. And they're also responsive to the low and fast, or you can go the mid grade in there because you're shaking it up. See, so when I'm talking to a shark, man, the thing I was so excited about was this. Yeah, yeah. When I'm talking to a dolphin, I want to go a little faster because dolphins are like shiny objects. They like things that move fast, move around, move around. They're here. Okay. Dolphin, they get their attention. Something goes past them fast, gets their attention. Goes past that shark. When you go on deep sea fishing, they got this fly, they throw it in the water, and you throw this fly in the water, and then the boat speeds through the water, 40 miles an hour. So it has to go past the fish. The fish has to see it moving. The fish says, whoop, and takes off and goes and gets it. That would be your shark, and that would be a dolphin. They see it, they're going to take off. Okay, the dolphin's going to try to play with it. The shark wants to eat it. Okay? So when you're looking at those personality traits, you're speaking and using your voice to attract them. Attract them in. Now, that doesn't mean everything you say is loud and fast. That would be a screaming match, or loud and slow. Is that when you want to emphasize certain points, you go loud and slow. We want to deliver a heartbeat of a message. Man, I can't believe I hit that home run. Ah, you love it. You get it. It depends on the conversation. Okay. So you play with it in the tempo. Now, if you're in a room and you don't know who's in the room, okay, and you don't have any background of who's in the room, then you paint. You paint. Dolphin, shark, urchin, whale. Dolphin, shark, urchin, whale. I'll give you some other examples in a moment. Okay, when I'm talking to a whale, and I want to talk to a whale, I lower my voice and I slow it down. Because a whale is nurturing. Their language is love, and love is always passionate. It's slow. It's rhythmic. It's rhythmic. Now, I mentioned earlier that from time to time, I use a lot of poems in when I'm speaking. I use a lot of stories. You tell a story to make a point, and you make a point with your story. We're going to really go into that on our third week. But you tell a story to make a point, and you make a point with the story. For an example, a little kid named Johnny, he's sitting on the edge of the bed. His mom knocks on the door. Knock, knock, knock. Johnny, it's time to go to school. Johnny says, Mom, I don't want to go to school. She knocks again. Johnny, it's time to go to school. Now, you see how I said that? When I said that, I'm tapping into a little loud and fast and a little loud and slow. I'm going emphasis and impact all together. Johnny, it's time to go to school. Mom, I don't want to go to school. Engagement. Okay. Johnny, how come you don't want to go? Now I take it slow. Okay. Well, Mom, the kids hate me. That's slow and slow. What do you mean they hate me? They hate you, Johnny. They talk about me all the time behind my back. They talk about me and write on me in markers all over the bathroom. Johnny, it's time to go to school. He said, Mom, you don't understand that teachers can't stand me. Johnny, what do you mean they can't stand you? See? Pass. Engagement. When they see me coming, they go the other way, Mom. They hate me. I walked in the room and they were talking about me. I couldn't believe it. It just had hurt me. Johnny, you have to go to school. Because after all, Johnny, you're the principal. You see. Now, you tell the story to make a point about being responsible, but you interject these different emotions in your talk through the way you use your voice, and you know you're painting talking to a certain people that were in that room. Yeah. That's why stories are so important. But then the way you tell the story, to become the story, to get a person to live that story with their senses. You walk them through so they can see Johnny on the bed, hear Mom knocking on the door. The voice will tie the thread. You see, when you use your poems and prose, and let's talk about your wells. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. Rockabye baby on the treetop. That is low and slow. That's the language of love. You don't talk to the baby and scream at him. Rockabye baby on the treetop. No, no, no. The baby's crying and screaming at you. The baby hates you. No, the way you use your voice is everything. It's a lot of psychology in the way you do this. Because when you're speaking to someone, there are three questions that are being asked on a subconscious level. Number one, who are you? Number two, what do you do? Number three, why should I care? Yeah, yeah. We have an old saying that, and I want you to write it down because I really want you never to forget this. Never believe your own press. The moment you start believing your own press that you're that good is the moment you lose. Remember the words of Socrates. You know, the key of knowing is to know that I don't know anything. Because if I don't know anything, I'm open to everything. When I was a course supervisor with Landmark Forum, we talked about the things that are knowable in life. And if you would take a big circle and say, okay, this circle encompasses everything that is knowable, how much of the circle do you really know? Maybe a little sliver, maybe put a little line there. That's all that we know out of everything that's knowable, because there's a lot more things we know we don't know, right? Of course not. Okay. So let's just say there's a little sliver of all the things that are knowable that you know. But then there's also things that you know you don't know. Now, if you were to draw a line in that same circle, how much of the circle or this pie do you don't know? Maybe it gets to be about 3 times bigger. You may not know how to make gasoline, can't make a rocket fuel. So a lot of things we don't know that we don't know them more than we know. So everything else in the circle is what we don't know about what we don't know. And therein lies possibility, and therein lies the power of humility, and therein lies creativity. Everything is tied into everything that's knowable. Here's the cool thing. Everything that's ever been created from the beginning of the human race, everything that will be created as we move forward, it was already here. And until we start creating things from Mars, and if we ever go to Pluto from different planets, everything that's got us this far was already here. When they rode around on horses and there were no cars to drive around in, the possibility of making gasoline was already here. Before you had heat in your home, the gas that you now get out the ground was already here. Before we had electricity and when they had torches for lights, before you get a light bulb, okay, everything they created, that technology, what we enjoy and take for granted every single day, was already here. So when communication and the currency of communication is opening up the access to communicate yourself on a higher level and to begin to question yourself. Why? I have a dear friend, Mr. Jeff Hoffman. He's one of my mentors. He is the co-founder of Priceline.com. If you go in the airports, all those kiosks in the airports, he created them. He is my personal mentor and my dear friend. And from his lips, we are brothers. And I remember he always talked about the growth and how you really want to try to grow and try to look at the world. And I will tell you that when you're going through this path and our journey through these communication courses, it is my hope, it is my desire that we start to put these things together in a way where you can see obvious growth yourself, and others will see it in you as well. In the way you communicate and how you show up in your life in every area. Now, it's going to be a full-time job. It's an all-the-time job, and you're never going to win. You're never going to win completely because it's always going to be things you don't know. And all the things that are knowable is what you know, is what you don't know, and everything else is what you don't know about what you don't know. That's the fun. So embrace it. Have fun in what you're doing. Have fun in this journey. Listen to the listening. Become a really good listener. We're going to talk about that next week. How to listen, how to repeat what they said when the person speaks to you. So what you're saying is, did I hear you say that correctly? See, when you do that, you're bringing them into agreement, and we're going to talk about that later because that's part of enrollment. But also, if you want someone to like you, listen to them. Even if you don't agree, because if you let them get it out, you may find the agreeable part comes a little bit later. When you're speaking, there's three things that you want to understand. There's three parts of this communication: distract, dispute, and inspire. Distract a person from where they are right now to the way they've been living all their life, communicating all their life. Distract them from away from that to this must be something better. Distract them from the life they live now to something that's even more euphoric. Just create the distraction that gets them away from what has them anchored right now. Distract them. They got shackles on. They're living in a prison of their own making. They're in a prison of not of their own making. Distract them. Dispute the reality that they live in today, that they can create a new reality, that you can tell the future if you're willing to write it. And then inspire them that the best is yet to come. There's another life waiting for you, for I, and that we can do great things. There's greatness in each and every one of us. Create impact by holding a person's attention through their story. I did mention to you that the reason I use a lot of poems and prose is because we were raised on poems, Cat in the Hat, all this different stuff when we grew up. You're raised on these things. Okay, all the poems, green eggs and ham. I could not, would not on the rain. I could not, would not on the train. I would not, could not say I am. I would not eat green eggs and ham. It's stuff you can't get out of your brain. You know, if you ever watch Gilligan's Island, it's a song, but the cadence is there. Sit right back here, a tale of a faithful trip. It's a faithful ship that started on a tropic shore aboard a shiny ship. It's all these poems. When you hear these poems, when you're speaking, and you want to get someone's attention, say a poem that has some relevance. And on a subconscious level, you're talking to the 8-year-old child, and they'll come right back to you 100% of the time. They can be talking. You can be. I've been in networking events, and people are drinking and having fun, and now they want to have a raffle and they want to talk seriously. But everybody's been drinking, and having fun, and eating food all the last 3 hours. Now you want to talk to me. They don't want to stop talking. They're in the heat of engagement of wherever they are in that conversation, and they always give me the mic. And I get in the mic and I say, most people don't know how fast they can swim until they have sharks that are pursuing them. But the ones who succeed in life's great race are the ones who wisely set their pace. Their pace is not set as fear requires, but every stroke is a product of their desires. So when you find yourself swimming in an ocean filled with decisions, you can choose to be guided by your fears or by your visions, but not you. You're the ones who will set high goals. You're the ones who will reach high marks because you won't be waiting to see those sharks. See? So when you use those poems, use your voice. Sometimes you go fast, sometimes you go slow for emphasis, sometimes you lower it, but you slowly bring people back to you. And when you lower your voice, when they're looking at you, they have to lean in to listen more attentively. All these are things that are going to help you become a better communicator, to get people to lean in, and they don't even understand why they're leaning in. You're going to create the impact that holds their attention with your story. So next week, we're going to work on telling your story. We're on telling that story. How do we use that story to enroll people into your life, to see you're a human being? because people buy people. They buy you. Then they buy the idea. Now, if they like the idea more than they like you, if the idea is that good, then they don't want you in the idea. They want to buy the idea from you. And that could work too based upon your goals. But it's a lot easier when you're enrolling people into who you are, because even in leadership, you see, titles do not make you a leader. Only people do. So in leadership, we'll have conversations about that. You're a leader? Who's following you? Because if no one's following you, you're just simply taking a walk. You're a legend in your own mind. That means you bought your own press. I found the greatest power in communication is the power of humility. I really have. Because as a speaker who's in front of audiences that laugh and cry and shake and come and hug you and tell you that you impact their life, it's such an honor, because you see, no one has to listen to me and you don't, and no one has to listen to you. Your kids are proving that, right? Your significant other proves that cut off, right? But you can deliver that message in a way where you draw their attention, because attention is major, where you bring it in. I'll show you different ways how to ask questions, how to ask and show. It's a technique. You're going to learn that. You all may get some extra weeks out of this for sure. I got a lot to share with you. I'm getting pretty excited about it. But distract the person from the life they live right now. Distract them from where their head is at. Distract whatever they may be in a room because they're forced to be there. Maybe they're in the room because you called them in there. Maybe they're in the room because they paid to be there. They're in the room. Distract them from all the other stuff that's going on around them. Distract, dispute. There's more to your life. Through communication, the currency of communication will bring you the wealth that you want in your life, in every area of your life. And then inspire them. And when you walk this walk, then it is done. It is done. So this is going to be about reinvention. No matter how good you are, we're going to help you, hopefully help everybody become even gooder. So what we're going to do at this time is that we want to dismiss from this platform. And now I want you to go over to Zoom. I want you to dismount. We're going to get out of StreamYard. You're going to go into zoom.us. It's at the bottom of the screen. You're going to type in the Zoom code. Click on join a meeting. Type in the code 666-697-0540. Again, it's 666-697-0540. And put in the passcode succeed. When we go to Zoom, that's when we become more interactive. That's when you can ask questions. We can go a little bit deeper in your homework if you don't understand how to fill out the personality traits. You have a question or you have a testimonial, we spend some time there. I've got about another 30 minutes that I've got with you also. We'll spend some time there, and we'll be doing that every single week on the Zoom. And remember, in the Facebook group, you can get back together, chat with each other. Your homework, you don't have to explain it to me. I'm not checking your homework. It's 35 of you guys. I'm not checking your homework. You're going to go through that together with your group. And that group could be internally inside the Facebook group or people, your support team you may have outside of that. So hopefully the day one has been somewhat impactful for you. Hopefully you got some things and reaffirm some things you know, and you learn some things that you did not know. But this is just the beginning of the beginning. We talk about embedded commands and open loops and talk about how the brain works and how to tell that story to take the brain on a journey, and how you really learn to take people on a journey within themselves. They can never go by themselves. They can only go through you. They're waiting for you. There are people out there that can only hear you and your story. And if you don't tell it, then you rob them. And I believe that in life, it won't be the money you acquire, the titles you get. It'll be the people whose lives you touched, the people that you made smile, the people you brought into a deep thought. It'll be knowing that you matter, your life matters, and your words matter. Okay? And being able to speak inside of yourself. And I'm going to give you that the first thing next week. Speak inside of yourself. So next week is going to be about storytelling. Take a lot of notes. I look forward to seeing you there. So let's dismiss now and go over to the Zoom. Talk to you guys soon. God bless you.